I have this 2005 Dodge Ram 1500 4x4, and today we're going to change out the water pump. I just noticed that the actual water pump is starting to leak, so we're going to swap this out, put in a new water pump and a new thermostat. We're going to run a 180 thermostat because I believe the 195 temperature is a little bit too hot, so I want to pull it down to 180 because I think this engine here started to overheat a little bit and it actually warped out the water pump. So if I run a lower temperature gauge thermostat, it should correct the problem. Obviously, some people say that you get a little bit more horsepower, but your fuel efficiency actually drops if you run a lower or a cooler thermostat. But I'm going to go with the 180, and we're going to swap this thing out today. So the first thing we want to do is we want to drain the radiator. Now, if you look here, there is an actual drain plug. All you have to do is hook up a hose to this, and if you want to reuse your radiator fluid, just catch it in a bucket, a clean bucket, or a plastic container, and then you can reuse it. It takes a 18 millimeter socket. You can see there's a little lip on here, right here, and the 18 millimeter socket fits perfect right over that. You just push it in, it'll fit right over there. So you gotta force it a little bit. So let's catch the radiator fluid and then we'll move to the next steps. All right, here we go. So the next step is to remove your negative terminal on your battery, and we want to take off the coolant reservoir and the windshield washer. So the first thing we need to do is we need to remove these electrical clips down here, and then we'll rip this off. These are just 2 bolts. It's a 10 millimeter right there and right there. So remove those electrical clips down there, and then remove this with 10 millimeter. That's after you drained your radiator fluid. All right, so that's step 2. Let's do it. Okay guys, the next step is to move this cooling fan right here, the radiator fan, and you actually have to hold this pulley right here and put a crescent wrench on there. So what you need to do is get a tool like this, put it in these holes, and then get your crescent wrench and pull it this way. Now, I actually removed this. What I had to do was I had to hit with a hammer to knock it loose. Once it's knocked loose, you can take it out with your hand. But those are the tools you're going to need to take that out. It's too hard to hold the camera and show you. There's other videos that show you how to remove the cooling fan. So, all right, on to the next step. Okay guys, the next step is you want to actually remove your belt. If you got one of these belt removers, makes it a whole lot easier. You're going to actually put this remover on this piece right here and just pull, and it will release the belt. So before you remove the belt, make sure you actually put or take a picture of the diagram of how it actually goes on. Actually, I'll put something on the screen. This is for a 2005 Dodge Ram 4x4 4.7 V8 truck. So this is the actual diagram of how the belt should go back on. So if you got one of these tools, it makes the life a whole lot easier. The belt will come right off. You can just see how quickly when I pull this, the tension releases. All right, so let's remove this belt. Okay guys, in order to access the water pump, you have to remove this pulley right here. This guy right here. All right. Right here. loosen that, and you should be able to get to your water pump bolts. So let's go ahead and do that. I actually loosened it already with my breaker bar. And let's just get it on there, take it out. Oops, hang on. All right, there it is. Should just pull right off. There you go. All right. That was a 15 millimeter. Okay guys, here is the new water pump. Now before I take out the bolts on the old water pump, some of the bolts are mismatched, meaning that some are smaller and larger. So what I like to do is actually take a diagram. This is actually the top. This is the bottom. And this is where I'm going to place my nuts. Or my bolts, sorry. So I know where the actual bolts come. When I take them out, I'll put them in this template. So it'll look like this. And each bolt will go here. And I will know the positioning when I put them back. And this is the top, this is the bottom. So I know it'll sit in the car like that. All right, let's go take out the old water pump. Okay guys, the water pump is out, and here's my diagram. As you can see, that's the bolt pattern right there. Fit right in. So now I know what screws go back in and what pattern. This thing is shot. If you look at the actual gasket on it, I'm surprised it even was holding water, but it's terrible compared to the new one. The new one is just clean. There's a lip on it. You can see this is basically corroded. It's terrible. So one thing we need to do is, before we put the new water pump on, is look at all that grime. See all that grime in there? Make sure that you clean up all of this old residue here before you put the new water pump on. This should be clean. So I'm going to clean this up, and then we're going to put the new water pump on and torque it to specs. Alright, so let me clean this up really fast. Okay guys, that's actually pretty clean. The main thing is you want to make sure that none of that gasket from the past water pump is on there. So just clean it up, make sure that there's no residue from that gasket, because it's going to, if you leave it on there, it could cause possibility of it leaking again with the new water pump. All I did was use a Scott-Brite pad to kind of scrub it out. I guess you could use a light grade sandpaper. I probably wouldn't do that. I would just use a dishwasher or dish sink scrub. Seems to work pretty well, but just make sure it's clean before you put that on. And just do an inspection of it. to make sure everything is good. This looks good, so let's put the new water pump on. All right. Okay guys, the water pump it is in. Now we actually have to torque the bolts to spec. So you always want to go in a crisscross pattern. If you look at the manual, it shows you that you have to go into a specific order. So you have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So basically you're always following a star or crisscross pattern. So for a 2005 Dodge 1500 4.7 V8, this torque specs are 43 pounds. And that's what I marked it on the torque wrench. So let's go torque this in and get it done. All right, here we go. Okay guys, we got this water pump in, so let's torque it to spec. Let's do first position here. This is 1. One is here. All right. This is 1. That's 1. Two is down here. Sorry, I'm hitting my camera. 2 is down here. All right. And then 3 is up here. All right. 4 is down here. There's 4. 5 is up here. All right, so we're going in a crisscross pattern. That way we know this thing is going to be tight. 6 is down here. All right. 7 is right here. Now, if you never use the torque wrench, when you set your foot per pounds, it won't let you go any farther. So you hear a little click right there, and you know it's torqued to spec. That was 7, and pattern 8 is right here. Right here, baby, right here. Oh shit. There it is. All right, so that's torqued to spec. And then you could just go round robin again just to make sure. Just to see. Okay guys, the water pump is in, and all you have to do now is reverse the pattern of what you did. So you're going to put that pulley back on, you're going to put the belt back on, the fan, and the actual canisters for the coolant and the windshield wiper fluid. Other than that, you should be good to go. You have to refill your car with antifreeze, and I can show you actually once that's complete how to burp the system. It's through this piece right here. So all right, so okay guys, I got all of the parts back in. Actually just filled up the radiator, and on the 2005 Dodge Ram 1500 4.7, you actually, after you put in your radiator cooler, you have to bleed or burp the system of air. So on these engines, right here is where you're gonna actually burp the system or bleed the system. So let's start this up and let's get it going. All right, here we go. Okay guys, the radiator is filled. As soon as it hits operating temperature, that level should drop. So let's see. I have to open up that bleeder valve a little bit. Okay guys, we got heat, so we know the heater coil is working, which is great. It's blowing hot air. Also, if you look at the bleeder valve, you can actually see it bubbling. So we're trying to get all those air pockets out of there. and bleed it or burp it, whatever you want to call it. So it's a lot of bubbles in here. Hose is hot too, so things are looking good. See the bubbles bubbling. This is how you burp or bleed your 2005 Dodge Ram 1500 4.7. Right there. All right. Okay guys, it's done. Put the bleeder valve back, tighten it up. Coolant's done. Water pump is changed. Everything's working on it. Changed the thermostat to 180 housing, 180 thermostat. Updated the housing on it too, the plastic piece, and there's no more leaks. All right, all done. Another one in the books. Thanks for watching.